to hear from the government whether they will pursue this now to the Supreme Court. But it is interesting that Lord Burnett was emphasising his decision, or at least the decision of the judges, based on law, not political arguments.
Yes, I mean, that's right. In fact, Lord Burnett, as your previous commentator noted, was in a minority. He was simply reflecting the overall opinion of the panel of 3 senior judges in relation to this. But yes, this is a decision that's simply based on an assessment of whether or not, on all of the material available, it is correct to assume that it would be safe for individuals to have their claims processed in Rwanda instead of being determined here. And 2 of those 3 very senior judges concluded that on the evidence available, it is not safe for those individuals to be returned. There are some deficiencies in the process. That's what's been pointed out.
So therefore, how could, and what could the government challenge this ruling on when it goes, or if it does go to the Supreme Court?
Well, there are some technical questions as to whether or not the court is entitled to look behind an arrangement that is reached between one government and another. So the government of Rwanda, for example, have come out immediately after the judgment and said that this is not a proper description of the way in which things operate in our country, and that the system is completely fair. And one of the approaches may be to say that actually, if governments have made decisions as between themselves, it's not really for the courts to get involved. It's not for the courts to look behind that arrangement. And of course, the position taken by those bringing the case was to say, well, that's exactly what the court should be doing. The court should be looking at the fine detail, should be looking at exactly what would happen in practice.
Yeah.
And Jawaid, we know the court timetables, they are incredibly busy. Is there a chance then that the Supreme Court will hear this before the end of the year, or does it look most likely that there will be no flights to Rwanda in 2023?
Well, rumour has it that there may be a slot that will be found sometime in October, because I think the Supreme Court, like most other legal bodies, would have been aware that regardless of who won or lost this case, it was likely to be a case that would travel. And as I understand it, time has been set aside for the potential for a hearing in the Supreme Court later in the year, therefore in October, possibly November. But of course, that's rumour.
Yeah, and the membership, our membership of the European Court of Human Rights is now being questioned, isn't it? Some Tory MPs are coming out and saying, you know, judge's decision was partly based on that because it would have breached the convention. Yes, the convention. I apologise. Sorry. We should be leaving that.
Well, I mean, that's a much bigger question in terms of politically whether or not the UK wants to depart from an institution that is internationally respected, an institution that's been upholding fair principles of justice, including many concepts that already apply in English law for more than 50 years, 70-odd years. Again, I think that it would be unwise for any government to simply signal a desire to get out of a club because it doesn't like some of the rules for some period of time on some questions.